Hello everyone, welcome to our Thursday Knit and Natter. I'm Stephanie from King's Landing Food Community, which is a community project run by Forest Schools Birmingham. And today we're going to take a departure from making our blanket. We're going to have a little break from blanket making because I want to show you how to make these mask adapters. Okay, they're very quick and easy. Little project that you can do to help key workers in your local area who need to wear masks all day. And what they do is you put the elastic over the buttons instead of around your ears, so you don't get that rubbing irritation behind the ears from wearing a mask too much. Okay, so all you need is some 100% cotton wool and 2 buttons. I have managed to pilfer a lot of buttons actually from old trousers and things that I'm going to say don't work, but that doesn't work, does it? Well, they've got rips and things in them and they're due for the chop, so I saved all the buttons from them. So this is what we're going to end up making, but this is what we're going to crochet. It's just a little strip and it's between 4 and 6 inches long. It does vary, okay? Some of them are smaller than others, some of them are larger, and that's because the size of your head will vary, and so we want to make sure that there's a bit of a range for people to get one that's more comfortable for them. So first thing I'm going to do, get my old trusty hook. This is a 3.5mm. A 3 would also do the job just fine. I've heard some people using a 4. So we're going to cast on by doing that loop and then dropping the tail end of our wool behind, put your hook in behind the wool and back out the front again, and then pull. There we go. Now we're going to start off by doing a single chain, and we want to do we'll start with 15 single chain stitches. Okay, 15 is really the smallest size that you would generally do. You can do up to 22 for the large ones. So try and get this on camera angle here. I do wrap and pull it through. The first one can be a bit tricky. Hold on. 1, it's a bit tight. Go on. 1, there we go. 1, 2, she says it's just got it caught in something. Oh, I've dropped a little bit, that's why. See, these things happen, don't worry. You'll get the hang of it. There we go, I've got all the wool on my hook now. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay, and now we're going to do a half double chain all along one side of our single chain. Okay, so not counting the stitch that you're currently in, which is this one, we're then going to put it in the next stitch available, and we're just going to take one hoop. As you can see from there, there's one loop underneath there. Just going to take one bit of wool through, grab the wool, pull it through so that you've got 2 loops on your hook, and then wrap the wool and pull it through. Okay, and you can see it's made a little circular end already just there. and we're going to do that all the way along, so it should end up being 15 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then my last one, it's actually 14 because we didn't do the first stitch that we were already in. My first stitch has now gotten really tight. It happens sometimes. I just want to try and loosen that off, get that crochet in there. There we go. You will succumb to my power. There we are. 14. Okay, so now we have a mini strip. Okay, and we're going to go round again. The way we're going to do the corners though is going to put some extra stitches in the corners to make sure that there are enough stitches to go around in a circle, otherwise you'll find it pulls up. So first off, where you put the 14th stitch, the last stitch, you're going to put another stitch in. Again, we're using a half double stitch. There we are. I'm going to loosen my wool. Whoa. Okay, and then I'm going to turn it round, and I'm going to put into the same place again, but once I've turned it around so that it tightens on this side instead of the bottom side, I'm going to do another 2. There are lots of different ways you can do this. Everybody does it differently. This is just my way of doing it. And as you can see, I've now created a nice little circle end. Just enough stitches to stretch all the way around in a circle. Okay, and then I'm going to just do all the way along here until I get to this end here. So this time though, because I'm on the other side of this stitching, when I put my hook through, you can see it's at a cross with 2 pieces of wool above it instead of 1. And that's how you're going to do it from now on, because you just did the bottom stitch there with the 1 bit of that wool. This is just the top bit of that same stitch, and this bit has 2 bits of wool. Okay, so it's only the first one where you do it through 1 bit of wool. Everything now is going to look like this. It's going to have this lovely stitched edge to it. So through, grab, put it through. So I'm just going to run quickly down, doing the same stitches where you put your crochet hook through, grab the wool, and then wrap the wool around again, take it through the 2 stitches. Oops, the 2 loops still on your hook. So hook in, grab the wool, wrap, pull through 2. And I'm going to carry on going like that. Do, 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 do. Time is on my side. In quarantine, time is on my side. There we go. Nearly there. Okay, so at this point we've reached the end, and this is where a lot of people come unstuck. They've made it and then they're like, oh, what's happened to the end here? It looks a bit wonky, and that's because we're not making something that's flat, we're making something that's round. So we just have to remember that we're putting extra stitches in now. So we've reached the end of our chain here, which is this one here, and this is the little circular thing that we made last time, just to get round to this side. So now we're going to put an extra stitch in here, which I'll do now. Okay, so that brings us up, and we're going to carry on now, but joining in to this stitching up here. So you can see that there's one here, so I'm going to pop my hook in there with my two bits of wool on the loop instead of one. Drag through, it's a little tight. There we go, so one stitch in there, and then that's got me up to the top bit of it, but I need to get around this corner now. So I did 2 stitches here and then 1 stitch at the top, and now I'm going to do 2 stitches in the next one, and this one here is the next one. I'll pop my needle through there, you can see that, that's the next stitch. So now I'm going to put 2 in that stitch to make sure that there are enough stitches to get around this corner. So 1, 2. Okay, and you can see that I've made a nice little round edge again. This is what's going to keep our mask adapter neat and tidy. So now I'm just going to carry on using the same stitch and go straight down here again. Okay, 1 per stitch. So there's my next stitch there. Put it in, grab the wool again and take it through both loops. Okay, and keep going all the way down. So go for it again. Trying to make sure you guys can see this, but I'm not sure how much of it you can see because I am not looking at the camera while I'm doing it. I'm just looking at my crochet. Okay, right, so I've reached the corner again. Okay, and you can see, I don't know if you can see actually, I'll get this out. This here is our middle. You can see the holes in here, that's the middle, that's our first chain in the middle there. And that's the middle of our adapter. So we've got 2 rows on this side and 1 row on this side. 1, 2, 1. So we're going to go all the way around again and do 1 last row on the other side. So here's our top. I've put 1 in the last stitch there, and now I've hit corner again. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I need to bring it up a little higher to reach the top of that curve, so I'm going to put another stitch in the same hole now. There we go. So now we're up nice and high. I'm going to put a stitch in the top one here, just a single stitch in the top one. Bloop. Just like the other side that we've just done. So now I've reached the peak of my curve, so now I'm going to go back down to this stitch, the next stitch along, but I'm going to put 2 in that one to make sure that they can get around this curve properly. So 1, 2. Okay, and now I'm on the straight again. Next stitch along is just 1. Next stitch along, another 1. You can see that I've got a fairly decent rounded corner going on there now. So now we're just going to go straight down again until we get to the end. Just hurrying along down here. And once you've managed to make a mask adapter that's all nice and neat and tidy and rounded, you'd be so proud of yourself. Honestly, I was as well. I was like, oh, I know how to do things. Oh, I'm not so terrible at crochet after all. Okay, so here's my mask adapter as it is, and now we just need to tidy up the end here. So you can see the old curve that we had, and we're just going to add on to that curve. So we're a bit low down, so I'm going to put an extra stitch again in my last stitch, just like all the other rows. I'll always put an extra stitch in my last stitch. But now, instead of putting another stitch in the next one along, I'm going to just join it up. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use a slip stitch. So all you do is you put the hook through the next stitch along, you grab the wool and pull it through like that, but you don't wrap the wool round the needle again, you keep dragging it through. Drag it through the next loop as well. Okay? So you're not adding anything extra to it, you're just putting the 2 stitches together. And voila! A mask adapter band. Okay, so then I'm going to put the wool, I'm going to tie this off like so. Now really the only thing you need to do now is you need to get your 2 buttons, you just place them roughly one on either side. They don't have to be an exact science, but generally I use as a guideline the last middle hole. So then I'd put one here and I'd put one here. You can see that there. But it doesn't have to be perfect. I have, here we go, here's one I made earlier. So all you do is you get a darning needle with the same cotton wool on again, and you have to feed that through from the back through the buttonholes. If it's 2, it's just straight up over and then through, and then you've got to go back through again and straight up over the other way for a 4. And then you should be on this side after you put the buttons on, put it through once more again so that you'll have like a little bit of wool coming out like that, and then give it a wrap around really tightly a couple of times and then feed the needle back through. And what that does is that just lifts the button, I don't know if you can see that in there, that I've done that in there, that just lifts the button a little bit away from the mask adapter, which makes it easier to clip the elastic bands on. It's just for convenience. It gives your mask adapters a little bit of extra class and functionality. And then tie it off on this side. Now remember, it doesn't really matter how sanitized the conditions are for crocheting. You can just crochet at any time, crochet in bed, crochet while you're watching television, crochet out in the garden, absolutely, whenever you've got that quality time to sit and do it. But you need to remember to put it in a wash with 60 degrees minimum temperature and detergent soap. Both of those. Has to be 60 degrees, has to have detergent soap in it. I normally use an eco ball, but I do have some laundry liquid left over, and I've been using that, and it's because the soap itself helps to remove the COVID virus. So make sure you get it on a wash, and then after it's washed and dried, handling from then on has to be in sanitary conditions, sanitizer, gloves, straight into a bag, however you manage it before you give it away. So voila, that is your mask adapter. Happy crocheting. If you do make any for key workers in your area, do share, let us know, take some pictures of your creations, and we'll see you next week.